Hello and welcome back to Hoot and Holler, your go-to podcast for all things Florida Atlantic. I'm Amari.
And I'm Moriana, and today's episode is going to be super fun.
Oh yeah.
We've got a behind-the-scenes look at one of the most exciting moments during orientation, the OL dance.
That's right. If you've ever been to orientation, you know the exact moment we're talking about. When the OLs come on stage and break in a dance to welcome the new incoming students.
And trust us, there is a lot more that goes into it than just the cool moves and big smiles.
That's right. And we have two very special, two amazing orientation leaders, mentor orientation leaders, to talk about how they choreograph the dance. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Amari. Thank you for having us. Once again, my name's Cameron. I'm a senior in exercise science and health promotion, and this year's mentor overseeing our activities and traditions committee.
Hello, my name is Zariah Walker, a senior here studying health science with 2 minors in psychology and health administration. And I am a former mentor orientation leader of last year. Yeah. And the activities traditions chair as well.
Cool. It's all right. So let's just jump right in. Let's take it from the top.
Period.
How do you get chosen to choreograph the OL dance?
How do you get chosen? So, as both of us mentioned, we oversee or have overseen our activities and traditions committee. And as an orientation leader, you kind of have a glimpse of all what the mentors kind of do. And each one of our mentors oversee a different field, a different realm of responsibility. And so when you really apply, you kind of know your strengths and weaknesses. And I knew I was not a marketing person myself. So I kind of ran with the activities and traditions, and that's kind of how I got into this role.
Similar to him, I knew that out of the options that we had, I knew activities and traditions fit my personality the best. So definitely was going to just go straight for that one.
What's the purpose behind the dance? Like, why is it such a big deal during orientation?
Yeah, so I feel like it's their first welcome into the university. Yes, they have their check-in, but like once they sit down, they really get to get their first like burst of energy where they see like people that go to this school that just have so much school spirit, and it kind of gets them hype. At least it definitely did last year.
Yeah, to like go with that hype, like I feel like a lot of the students and families don't realize it's also an early morning and long day for us.
Right.
So it was kind of our wake up to ourselves. So like,
Yeah,
we're hyping up the audience, hyping up our students, but we're also giving each other energy. So that was definitely a positive.
Yeah. And us energy. We're entertained just watching it.
love that.
Yes. So like realistically, like how much time do you actually get to like choreograph the dance before you start teaching it to the team?
Not enough. Not enough.
I fear. I mean, yeah, what he said, I feel like we have a little bit of 2 different experiences because I am a dancer. So for me, like I was choreographing while I was also teaching them. Like it was just like I would come in with something for them to work on. And then after that, like I would just, okay, let's go from here, because I also had to, deal with people who didn't sign up. When you sign up as an orientation leader, you don't sign up to dance. Like you sign up because it's something you want to do. Like you want to, explore your leadership and stuff like that. So, dealing with non-dancers, sometimes you have to like adjust. So I feel like it was easier for me to just go on from what they could do,
Yeah, I mean, with the not enough, I know Z kind of mentioned it, but it definitely, I also did like the choreographing as I was teaching myself as I was teaching the rest of the team. So it's kind of parts of the dance that I thought would take more time, we learned real quick. And then other parts that I thought would take longer or shorter took some more time. So it just, you kind of roll with the punches and it just varies.
How long does it usually take for those to learn the full routine?
I told them this year, especially, I told them they knew it before they even realized they knew it. It was kind of just like raising our confidence as a group, because we learned it pretty fast, surprising or not. So we learned it within a month or so. Outside of that month, it's just building confidence and just knowing that you really know what you're doing.
Do you ever really stop learning? Honestly, I mean, for my team, I feel like it was the same. We had the month to like get it, but I know they always like figured out new ways, even with the orientations, to add something to spice it up. So they were always still learning, I guess, like adapting from what worked for them and what didn't, because it was like, you know, choreographed, but you get to add your personality to it. So they continued to learn, but I would say the same, like a month span.
Mm-hmm. Z, you kind of answered this already, but like, do either of you have like a dance background, or is this just like raw creative talent that we just have?
Z mentioned hers very briefly. I also came from a dance background somewhat. In high school, I did Polynesian dance for quite a few years, and then my partner, she comes from a very extensive dance background. So
Shout out to Nicole.
Shout out to Nicole. So she definitely helped with the teaching aspect, and like Z was mentioning, it was like somewhat easy for me to teach myself, but learning it's the easy part. Teaching it to others was a little more difficult. So her dance background definitely helped with that.
Yeah. So like I briefly mentioned, I have a heavy dance background. Starting from like when I was 4 years old, a lot of praise dance. Then I got into like modern and ballet for a little bit during my high school year. Now I serve as president of the Cohesion Step Team. Shout out to y'all. Also vice president of KKDT. So I have like a lot of background in dance.
Okay, cool. What would you say is the most stressful part of being the choreographer to your team? To a full team.
Just one? Just
You
one
can
reason?
name, just
Okay.
go ahead, name the list.
Well, like I mentioned before, you are working with non-dancers. So and also, like I said before, since I do work with dancers usually outside of orientation, I have to learn what to scale back in terms of choreo, one, and two, being more patient because they're not here to just dance. You know, they're also here for the leadership opportunities. So I can't like just take up all their time, like, hey, practice this day and night, you know, type stuff. So I feel like for me, those are the two, I guess, most frustrating things.
And for me, one of the more challenging things for me to manage was actually kind of the opposite. It was working with the dancers who picked it up real fast. And then like, once they know it, they kind of want to move on. But to have everyone slow down and kind of help everyone on the team kind of manage that same pace of like learning in a way.
Right.
If this does happen to you, like when does the panic usually set in? Like, could it be during choreography, like the first team practice, final run through? Like, do we panic at all?
Yeah, so I feel like the first sign of panic is in the beginning, because when you're teaching them and you see like where they're at when it comes to the choreo, you're like, oh, okay. So that's maybe the first sign of panic, but then obviously it's just the first practice. So you're chilling after that. But then sometimes when it gets closer to the time, it's like, okay, certain things that you want to get done is still not done. That's also when you start to panic a little bit, like, okay, guys, let's pick this up now. But you know, they end up bringing it together. So
That's nice.
I was gonna say that last sentence is kind of where I'm going with mine. I always have like in the back of my head to panic, but then for whatever reason, our team and the OLs, they always find a way. When we're on stage in front of people, we always know when to turn it on.
right.
So in training and in practice and dance outside of training, we, although might play around a lot, play around as a team, I know once it comes to real orientation days, we'll be fine. So I try not to panic as much.
Was there other things too, like were you stressed out about costumes or just the dance?
You know, I tried my best not to stay stressed out. Both of us being the chairs of our committees, I definitely leaned heavy on my committee to kind of help, not burden the stress, but kind of disperse it amongst us all. So we kind of had our own things to worry about. And so it wasn't just all on me.
Stress everybody out. You feel me?
Exactly. It was like, just disperse it over the whole committee. And then like, so I had one member of the committee looking over the costumes while I was more focused on choreography, and that kind of helped with that outside stress.
Okay. How do you handle OLs who aren't quite in sync?
What a great question. I would say that I handle them by just giving them some extra time and care. I know what we probably had like an hour practice, if that sometimes. So it was definitely about the time you put in outside of the trainings and stuff like that really mattered. So I would host additional practices outside of there just to cater to, even if it was only like 4 or 5 people that came. Like one time, Cam was there. It was like only like 4 or 5 of us practicing in a room. But as long as those people are getting what they need, like that's the type of practices I held outside.
And for me, again, I utilized the ones on the team that were really picking it up very quick. And if I wasn't able to make it, there was someone was available on the team that could help them out with something they need to know. And it's not just really our dance. It kind of goes that way with everything, since we're all learning together. They always just try to ask one another too.
What's your strategy for like keeping morale up, like when people get frustrated or discouraged?
So for me, I always try to remind them, like, again, just instilling that confidence within them. But for that, I try to have them remember like the good times, because everyone has some rough days, some rough orientations. But if they kind of remember like the positive parts and then kind of think back and like, you're like, okay, it'll get back to that. So just knowing that you have ups and downs. Some days you might have days where you forget certain moods, but just keep on smiling and work through it. That's probably the best way.
Well, I would say that I'm just a good vibe type of person. Like, let's just vibe. It's not too much pressure in practice to just get everything. I feel like sometimes, we have to, tighten up and lock in, but at the same time, it's never too much pressure. Like if you're not having a great day, like he said, we all aren't 100% all the time. So it's like stuff like that. Like if you need it, take the practice off, come back, be ready and vitalized to like do it again, So I feel like it's just about good vibes. This is a dance at the end of the day. It's not the end of your career, so just have fun with it. I feel like it's the most important part, because if you're having fun, they're going to have fun.
That's true.
With that, just one more thing. Like one thing from last year that me and Z always said, like, if you only have 50%, if you give your 50%, that's your 100. Right. So like understanding that not everyone can give 100% all the time, because that's really draining. So just knowing that everyone has different parts of energy that they give, that definitely helps manage like the team aspect.
Okay. How many crash outs or do-overs do you usually go through before the dance is locked in?
Throughout like a practice, a day, or what are we?
You can gauge that.
Okay. I would definitely say, as far as crash outs, it wasn't too bad during my year. I think just a couple of times where it was just like, they love each other, very talkative bunch. Love my OL team down. Love y'all. But once they start that bonding, and stuff like that, it can get sometimes a little hard to get the control back in the room without, raising my voice, which I don't like to do. So, stuff like that, like, I feel like that's probably like when I did have my mini crash outs, but they were in my head though. It wasn't like out loud, I feel, but
so
they were like,
just yell at everyone like, everyone needs to get it together.
No. Unfortunately, it was only happening in my head. Those movies that you see sometimes where something is happening, but then they cut back to what really happened.
Oh, okay.
That's what happens with me.
I feel like sometimes they're mandatory. I don't have a number, but sometimes like just to get the point across, because like Z said, sometimes everyone wants to. It is fun at the end of the day. It's a fun experience. It's fun time. But at the end of the day, sometimes they don't realize it's also business. Right. It can be fun business. So sometimes you just got to set the record straight. Like, we really can't go on stage and embarrass ourselves, because a lot of people have their cameras out. If you're coming this summer, please don't have your camera out. But a lot of people have their cameras out. So like, just knowing that whether you do really good or really bad, it will be recorded. So
How often do you like practice the dance leading up to an orientation week?
So, in terms of practicing outside, how we were saying before, like we got a month to get the choreo to stick with them, because we have this thing called SHRO where we go to a conference and they have to demonstrate that dance there. So with that, they kind of already have the dance. But like I was saying before, you're always learning, you're always practicing your own flair to put on the dance. So as far as meeting after the month, we didn't really do that. But if anybody ever needed like a refresher or anything like that, we usually do that before we get on stage.
Okay.
And let's be real. Who forgets the moves the most?
Out of me and Cameron, it's gotta be Cameron. It's not me.
you know, I wouldn't say I forget the moves. I would
Did
say
you forget on stage?
I would say I add my flair on the stage.
Oh, so now we're talking about the flair. Okay. let's
You
go.
know, whatever Z says, she knows that, because for context, me and Z, for half of our dance last year, we're dance partners. She knows that I never forgot. We always locked in together.
Right,
so,
right. Just
uh,
who's more likely to?
Z.
It would be Cameron.
Oh.
We'll talk about this.
Yeah. Later.
Okay. Do you ever change up choreography if it's just not like clicking
Yes.
with the team?
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
How many times have you had to change it?
Quite a few times. So, like I was saying, some parts when I'm going through it by myself, I'm thinking it might be a little more simple in my head. But once I bring it to the team, just their feedback, they're like, okay, we don't really think this is working. We try to work through it normally, but then if it really isn't clicking with the team, just like listening to the feedback, then they're like, okay, this really won't work.
Yeah, I would say the same thing in terms of, if I had to make a reference, it was definitely Lose Control last year. I had a whole different ending to it, but I had to end up changing like it to just arms because of like the time constraint and like the retaining the dance moves and stuff like that. For me, it's like I said, I'm a dancer, so I'll be ready to put in a split somewhere and like we're doing something crazy. So I'll be having to tone that down a little bit, you know.
Right.
So it changed a couple times, just a few though.
And speaking of time constraints, do you have other constraints? Like, how do you know to plan your dance out? Do you have 3 minutes? Do you have a limit of 2 minutes?
Yeah.
And
So
how do you like do each dance part?
well, we based the actual like the time, the full length of the dance by SHRO's rules. So like they'll say we only have 3 minutes to do the dance and 3 minutes 30 seconds to get off stage and on stage and stuff like that. So we have to make sure our dance is 3 minutes. But when it comes to the songs, honestly, like within the mix, I just listen to what parts I like the best in the songs and what will make up the 3 minutes.
Okay.
And then for me, I kind of, whether this was good or bad, I picked my songs before anything else because I knew what songs I liked. And then outside of that, then no spoilers, you'll see. But like all of our speeches and our monologues I worked them out afterwards once I kind of had an idea where I wanted to go with. Because it's almost like our welcome dance is like a story being told of our university.
Yeah.
So then I kind of worked through that afterwards.
Okay.
All right, let's set the scene.
Oh.
It's game day. We are at SHRO Night 1 dance competition.
Right.
How did your team perform on this big night for SHRO?
It's a little
I can go. I can go first. I'm
Yes.
more recent.
Yeah, you can go. I have to think back.
So night one, because out of dozens of schools, for context, SHRO is at the Southeast region orientation workshop. So I think there were 40, 50 plus schools there. Our dance was second to the end. So it was kind of the cherry on top, the whipped cream. So it was really, it like build up the, not anxiety, but the energy. It was just building over the course of the night because we went about 3 hours of watching other songs, dances of other schools before we got on stage. And watching other schools perform, then you're like, we can do this, we got this, we're all in the same boat. So it definitely made the energy like a positive one.
Yeah, and it was a treat for us because we were there. We were
Mhm.
there recording. You're doing
Yes.
amazing, sweetie.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I think we performed around the same time.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like it was also like second to last during my year. So we got to see everything. I would love to say that opening dance that they had, I'm glad that they weren't competing because that was a beautiful dance and I was a little scared. But then they weren't competing. They were just like opening it up. And then after that, we got to see the other ones. And like Cam said, you're just like, okay, guys, we can do this. Like you start believing in the choreo that you have. And just at the end of the day, it's all about fun again. So, we were all having fun, like chant after chant, like we're just like, okay, we're all cheering on each other. So that night was amazing. Night one to start that off, great.
Love that for you. Any hilarious or unexpected moments that may have happened during the performance?
For sure.
Oh, okay.
You go first.
During the performance, I have quite a few out of practice on stage. I gotta think about that.
Oh, okay, I go
No,
first because
please.
I know. So for sure, one unexpected / funny moment was like when we got on stage, we had our costumes, like they had wings, right? So we had the wings, we had the flowers. It was really cute. It was really cute. The headpiece and stuff like that. But like when we started dancing, people's wings started to like pop off because how we tied them. So like my wing popped off. I know like 2 other wings popped off. Everybody was just like, yeah, so we can't take these back to Amazon. But yeah, overall, like that was probably the most unexpected moment was when like costumes just started flying in the air.
Gosh. There was wings all over the ground, like on the floor.
Like honestly, we held it together. Like we somehow, kept a little shoulder up or something so it wouldn't completely fall off. But like, yeah, we kept it together.
Oh, I do have one. So last year, about midway through our orientation season, that's when someone, if you're out there, you know who, posted it on TikTok and it went viral and on TikTok, Instagram. And then the very next orientation following that viral video, we go out onto the stage. And normally there's spotlights. So I like the spotlights because I can't see anyone's faces.
Oh, okay.
But all we see is at least 100 phones out.
Flashes just
Flash
waiting to
lights.
record the dance.
Yeah, I remember that.
It went from about 5 phones out in the front row to about, you look out and you look like you're at a Beyonce concert.
No way.
Yeah.
And there's just
That
a
is
wall
wild.
of flashlights.
Just waiting
Now,
to record.
was that daunting, or did you feel like Beyonce?
Oh no, we stepped up.
Yep.
Oh,
we probably
Yep.
did
Those
better.
flashes, we gave them a show for
Oh.
sure. It was giving Beyonce.
We kind of knew that viral video was going to put us on that next, like, not pedestal, but like there were going to be more cameras. So we kind of backstage hyped ourselves up. We said, Z told us, she said, if they want to record, you better give them something to record.
Right.
So we gave it everything we had. Some people came off sweaty. It was
Right.
just a 3-minute video.
I never seen them huff and puff that much. I said, yeah, I'm looking back at this video. I know y'all put y'all hardest work into that one.
So that was probably the funniest thing, just going out and there's just nothing but flashlights
Flashes,
and cameras.
yeah, that was a good one.
What's one moment during the performance where you were just so proud of your team?
So at the end of our dances, both years that I've been a part of, at the end, it's kind of like a big like ending, like we all come down together and it's like that last hoorah. And just that last part, you hear them huffing and puffing, but you're like, we made it through. Everyone like is going off stage, giving each other high fives, smiling. So that's probably the best part, just knowing that like, even if you knew you like maybe messed up, as like a collective, as a group, it looked good. So that was definitely it.
Yeah, I think I was just proud every time they stepped out on stage, just because after when we went out there, when we went backstage, like, we seen the huffing and puffing and stuff like that. And these are people, some of them are people who don't dance. And for them to like give like all of their energy and go as full out as they can, like, I was like, period, y'all. Like, they was definitely in the girlies up. So period.
Cute.
Very proud. Proud mom.
Oh man. Did you ever like at any point just want to like jump in and take over mid-performance?
Oh, for sure. It was
Yeah.
giving solo at one point, but couldn't do that to them.
Do well.
Yeah. But like the whole time, sometimes it was just really giving solo.
Okay.
For me, truthfully, I did, but then I just reminded myself, don't stress out over things I can't control. And although I can control it, I can't control it. So I would just remind them, like, we can put the energy in and the time in together, but also like where you really get good at your dance, where you really perfect the craft is like, there were some days I was in my bathroom dancing in front of my own mirror, just watching myself dance. And that's really where, like, as individuals, we kind of learn the dance just on our own time.
What advice would you give the future choreographer of the OL team?
Start now.
No, right. If you're even thinking about activities and traditions, share, already start thinking about the dance you want to put out there.
Yeah.
But I would also say, like, for real though, is just to make sure that you're having fun and that they're having fun. Don't let it stress you out too much. You're going to get whatever hand that you're dealt in terms of dancing. So like, just make sure that you're putting your best work out there, but to a point where everybody feels like comfortable.
Okay.
And for me, it was kind of like, I would say try to find the happy balance of like challenging the OLs, but also understanding, like Z was saying, like their limitations or their advantages. Because there were sometimes our team, they're saying, Cameron, I don't think I can do that part, or I can't do that. But I kind of positively reinforce that they can do it, and like don't just let them give up on themselves.
Nice.
Yeah.
If you had to describe the OL dance experience in just one word, what would it be?
Viral.
No, I was about to say famous.
This is going to sound very weird. It's the first word that popped up into my head. I would say like puppies. I would say like it's very energetic and like, but as long as they're corralled in the right path, it goes well. But so puppies.
Period.
Interesting. I like that.
Mhm.
Puppies.
I love that.
Finally, what lesson have you learned from this process that you'll take with you beyond Florida Atlantic?
Probably just again like remaining patient with things I can't control or like are out of my control. Just understanding that everything's gonna work out how it needs to. So
Ditto. Same thing. I think I was literally thinking patience. It goes a long way, and I feel like empathy as well, because again, like not everybody's going to give their 100% all the time, and you have to understand that. Like you have to be able to accommodate, and so for me, I think that as well as patience, being accommodating.
Okay. Well, thank you both so much, Cam and Z, for joining us today and giving us a little behind the scenes look on one of the most iconic parts of orientation.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And
Very
you
iconic.
heard Cam. He said, "Have your phone out.
oh.
Have your
Yeah.
phones
Yes.
out.
Okay.
Record,
Another viral
record,
dance,
record.
please.
We're trying to go viral again."
We'll see.
Shout out to our listeners and thank you for tuning in.
And until next time,
Go Owls.
Woo!